Everyone remembers their birthday party.
The cake.
The candles. The people who came just to say they love you. But I remember mine for a different reason. I remember the moment my husband smiled and introduced the woman he was sleeping with as just a coworker. I remember the laughter that followed, the awkward clapping, the way every eye in the room slowly turned toward me, waiting to see how I'd react. And I remember realizing in that exact moment that the humiliation wasn't an accident. It was planned. What I didn't know yet was that this birthday wouldn't just break my heart. It would give me my life back. I woke up that morning with a strange feeling that something was off. Not panic, not fear, just heaviness. The kind you can't explain, but your body understands before your mind does. It was my birthday. 36. Mark had insisted on throwing a party at our house. Something simple, he said. Friends, family, a few people from work. He wanted it to be special. Those were his words. I want everyone to celebrate you, he'd told me the week before, smiling as he wrapped his arms around my waist. At the time, I believed him. That morning, the house already smelled like vanilla frosting and fresh coffee. Balloons floated near the ceiling, gently bumping into each other every time the air conditioner kicked on. I stood in the kitchen in my robe, staring at the countertop covered with plates, napkins, and a half-assembled cake. Everything looked right. So, why didn't it feel right? Mark was on his phone. He'd been on it constantly for days. Texting. Smiling at the screen. Turning it face down when I walked into the room. When I asked who it was, he always answered the same way. Work stuff. That morning was no different. He leaned against the counter, typing with both thumbs, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. When he noticed me watching, he locked the screen a little too fast. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said automatically. Just tired. He kissed my cheek, but it felt rushed, like checking something off a list. I invited a few coworkers, he added casually. Hope that's okay. I paused. You didn't mention that. They're cool people. You'll like them. Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. Coworkers. Plural. I nodded anyway. Sure. By late afternoon, the house was full. My parents arrived first, hugging me tightly, telling me how proud they were. My best friend Jenna came with a bottle of wine and the kind of smile that always made me feel grounded. Neighbors stopped by. Laughter filled the living room. Music played softly in the background. From the outside, it looked like a perfect suburban birthday party. From the inside, I felt like I was watching it through glass. Mark was different. He was attentive, but not to me. He kept checking the front door, kept glancing at his phone. Each time it buzzed, his shoulders straightened, like he was bracing for something. Or someone. I told myself I was being ridiculous. It was my birthday. People were here for me. My husband was hosting. Then the doorbell rang. Mark moved fast. Too fast. I got it, he said, already halfway down the hallway. I followed, not because I meant to, but because my feet moved on their own. He opened the door. And there she was. Tall. Confident. Perfect hair. A fitted black dress that was just casual enough to pass as appropriate, and just tight enough to feel intentional. She smiled like she already belonged there. Hey, she said softly. Mark's face changed. Not surprise. Recognition. Warmth. Relief. My heart dropped. This is, he started, then paused just for half a second before turning to me. Oh, he said, louder now, drawing attention from the living room. This is just a coworker from the office. Just a coworker. The words echoed in my ears. She stepped inside, her hand brushing his arm as she passed him. Intimate. Familiar. Her eyes met mine. And she smiled again. Not nervous. Not apologetic. Confident. Like a woman who knew exactly who she was and exactly who I was about to become in that room. Someone laughed behind us. Mark closed the door. And just like that, my birthday party changed forever. The moment she stepped fully into the living room, the energy shifted. Not dramatically. Not loudly. It was subtle, the kind of shift only people who are paying attention can feel. Mark placed a hand on the small of her back as he guided her inside. He probably thought no one noticed. I noticed. Everyone, he said, raising his voice just enough to cut through the chatter. This is... He hesitated again. A tiny pause. This is Lily, he finished. She works with me. Works with me. No last name. No explanation. No reason for her to be there except that she was. Lily smiled at the group, comfortable, relaxed. Too relaxed. Happy birthday, she said to me, her voice smooth. Mark's told me so much about you. The room went quiet for half a second.
So much about you.
Jenna's eyes flicked toward me. My mother straightened slightly, like she'd sensed something but didn't know what. I forced a smile. Thank you, I said. Lily reached out and hugged me. Hugged me. Her perfume was expensive.
Clean.
Intimate. The kind of scent you don't wear unless you expect to be remembered. When she pulled back, her hand lingered on my arm. Your house is beautiful, she added. Mark has great taste. Mark laughed. I try. I waited for him to say something. Anything that would draw a line. To correct the familiarity.
To step back. He didn't.
Instead, he grabbed 2 drinks from the counter and handed one to her before handing one to me. Priority. A tiny thing. But it cut. As the minutes passed, Lily stayed close to him. Too close for someone who was just a coworker. She knew where the bathroom was without asking. She joked about his work stories like she'd heard them 100 times. She finished his sentences once, and then laughed when she realized she'd done it. Oh my God, she said playfully, touching his arm.
Sorry.
Office habit. Office habit. Mark smiled at her like she'd said something adorable. Someone near the couch chuckled. I felt heat crawl up my neck. You okay? Mark asked me quietly, leaning in. There it was. The question designed to make me the problem. Yeah, I said. Why? You just seem quiet. Lily tilted her head, studying me. Maybe she's overwhelmed, she said sweetly. Big parties can be a lot. I stared at her. She wasn't mocking me. She was positioning herself. Helpful. Considerate. Reasonable. The perfect contrast to the wife who might seem emotional. I'm fine, I said. She smiled again. The kind of smile that says, I know something you don't. As the party went on, the jokes started. Mark's basically married to his job, someone said. Lily laughed a little too hard. Tell me about it. Mark didn't correct her.
Didn't look at me.
Didn't notice the way the room had started watching us. Not openly, but enough. People sense tension before they understand it. Then came the moment that broke something in me. Mark tapped his glass. I just want to say something real quick, he announced. The room quieted. He wrapped an arm around my shoulders. For a second, I thought maybe this was it. An apology. A declaration. Something that would make me feel stupid for doubting him. I just want to thank everyone for coming, he said. And especially the people who support me every day. He raised his glass. To my wife and my coworkers. Lily lifted her glass too. Our eyes met. And in that instant, I understood something terrifying. She wasn't afraid of me. Because she didn't think she needed to be. The applause filled the room. I smiled. Because I didn't know what else to do. But inside, a quiet, horrifying thought settled in. This wasn't an accident. This was a test. And I was the only one who didn't know the rules. At some point, the party stopped feeling like mine. I don't know exactly when it happened. There wasn't a clear moment. No dramatic shift. Just a slow realization, like waking up in the middle of a conversation and realizing you're no longer part of it. People clustered in small groups, drinks in hand. Laughter drifted through the room, but I felt strangely detached from all of it, like I was floating just outside my own body. Mark stayed close to Lily. Not obviously. Not in a way anyone could point to and say, that's inappropriate. But close enough that I couldn't unsee it. They leaned toward each other when they talked. Their shoulders brushed. When he laughed, he looked at her first, like he needed her reaction to confirm the joke was funny. I watched it happen again, and again. And every time, something inside me twisted tighter. Jenna came up beside me near the kitchen island. Who is she? She asked quietly, not looking at me. Apparently, I said, forcing a calm I didn't feel. Just a coworker. Jenna nodded slowly. Her silence said everything. Across the room, Lily was telling a story. And then Mark says, "No, no, no. That's not how it works," she said, mimicking his voice perfectly.
People laughed.
Even my father smiled politely. I felt my stomach drop. She knew his voice. She knew his tone. She knew him well enough to perform him. Mark shook his head, amused. "You make me sound like a jerk."
She grinned.
"Only sometimes." Another laugh. I noticed then how she positioned herself. Never beside me, always opposite. Always with a clear line of sight. Like she wanted to make sure I saw everything. At one point, she walked up to me holding an empty glass. "Do you mind if I grab another drink?" she asked. "Mark usually makes them stronger than I do."
Usually.
I stared at her. "Mark usually makes them stronger." The room seemed to tilt. "Sure," I said, my voice distant. She leaned closer, lowering her voice just enough that it sounded private. "He takes such good care of people," she added. "You're lucky." Then she walked away. I stood there, gripping the edge of the counter, trying to slow my breathing. This was insane. I was imagining things. I had to be. When Mark returned, I pulled him aside. "Can we talk?" I asked. He sighed, actually sighed, like I was interrupting something important. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice already defensive. "Why is she here?" I said quietly. "And why is she acting like?" "Like what?" he cut in. "Like she knows you." "She does know me," he said. "We work together." "That's not what I mean." He glanced around, then lowered his voice. "Can you not do this right now?" he said. "Everyone's having a good time." There it was. The switch. I was no longer his wife with a concern. I was a problem. "I'm not doing anything," I said. "I'm just asking." "You're reading into things," he said. "You always do this." Always. A word designed to shrink me. To rewrite history. Lily appeared beside us. Perfectly timed. "Everything okay?" she asked, all concern. Mark smiled at her.
"Yeah."
"Just a misunderstanding."
She turned to me.
"Hey," she said gently, like you speak to a child. "I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable." That would never be my intention. Everyone nearby could hear now. Jenna, my cousin, two of Mark's coworkers. Eyes on me. I felt the familiar pressure, the one that tells you if you react emotionally, you lose. "I'm fine," I said. Lily nodded, relieved. "Good. I'd hate to be that person." She laughed lightly. Someone else laughed too. Mark relaxed. And just like that, the narrative was set. She was reasonable. He was patient. And I was sensitive. I looked around the room, at the people I loved, the people who had come to celebrate me, and realized something terrifying. They didn't see what I saw. Or worse, they saw it and didn't know what to do with it. Then Mark raised his glass again. "For the record," he said jokingly, "if I ever disappear, you'll know it's because work kidnapped me." Lily laughed the loudest. I didn't laugh at all. Because deep down, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. This wasn't about a coworker. This was about power. And I was losing it. I didn't go looking for the truth. That's the part people always get wrong. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't spying. I wasn't trying to catch anyone. I just needed air. The noise in the living room had become too much. The laughter, the music, the way my name kept being said like I wasn't really there. I slipped into the hallway, heading toward the bathroom, hoping the quiet would steady me. That's when I heard Mark's voice.
Low.
Relaxed. Intimate. Not the voice he used with me anymore. I stopped. The kitchen light was dim. The back door was cracked open, letting in the cool evening air. Mark was standing near the counter, his back half-turned. Lily stood close to him. Too close. I should have walked away. I didn't. "I told you this was a bad idea," Mark murmured. Lily laughed softly. "Oh, relax. You're the one who wanted me here." "That's not what I meant." "You said you were tired of hiding," she replied. "You said you hated lying." My heart slammed against my ribs. Mark exhaled. "I meant eventually. Not like this. She tilted her head. Eventually keeps getting pushed back. There was a pause. Then she said it. How long are you going to pretend this marriage still works? The world seemed to shrink. Mark didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was quiet. It's complicated, Lily scoffed. You've been saying that for almost a year. Almost a year. My knees went weak.
A year?
Mark repeated. You tell me, she said. You were the one who kissed me first. At the conference. Remember? The conference. I remembered that week. I'd stayed home. Taken time off work, so he wouldn't have to worry about anything. Sent him good luck texts before his presentations. I pressed my hand against the wall to stay upright. You promised things would change after her birthday, Lily continued. You said you'd talk to her. Mark rubbed his face. I will. When? She asked. After tonight? Or are you going to introduce me as just a coworker forever? There it was. The phrase again. This time, it wasn't a performance. It was a confession. You humiliated her, Lily added. Even I felt a little bad.
Mark didn't defend me.
I didn't mean to, he said. It just happened. I swallowed a sound that rose in my throat. So what now? Lily asked. Mark hesitated. I don't know. Silence. Then she stepped closer. I heard the soft sound of fabric moving. A whisper. You know I won't wait forever, she said. I'm not her. Not her. As if I were something to endure. Something temporary. Mark's voice dropped even lower. I know. That was it. No denial. No correction. No guilt. Just acceptance. I stepped back before they could see me. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to grip the banister. My heartbeat felt loud enough to give me away. Every step back down the hallway felt unreal, like I was walking through someone else's house, someone else's life. In the bathroom, I locked the door. I stared at myself in the mirror. My face looked the same, but my eyes didn't. They looked hollow. The woman staring back at me finally knew the truth. Not the version I'd been gaslighted into doubting.
Not the one I was supposed to accept.
The real one. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was betrayal, calculated, sustained, and brought into my home on my birthday. I pressed my palms against the sink. The party was still going on. People were laughing. They had no idea. But they would. Because something inside me had shifted. I wasn't going to cry in the bathroom. I wasn't going to pretend anymore. I unlocked the door and walked back toward the noise. I didn't rush back into the room. That would have given them what they expected: drama, tears, chaos. Instead, I walked slowly. I noticed things I hadn't before. The way the music felt too loud now. The way conversations sounded hollow. The way people laughed without knowing they were standing on the edge of something irreversible. Mark was near the couch, drink in hand, talking to two coworkers. Lily stood beside him, relaxed, her body angled toward us like it belonged there. When he saw me, his expression shifted, just slightly.
Concern.
Caution. He knew something was different. I stopped in the center of the room. Hey, I said calmly. My voice surprised even me. People turned. Mark smiled tightly. Everything okay? I nodded. Yes, I said. Actually, I just wanted to say something. A few people chuckled, assuming it was a birthday speech. Mark's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Big mistake. I realized, I continued, that tonight has been confusing. The room quieted. I've heard the phrase, just a coworker, more times than I can count, I said, my eyes finding Lily's. And I think it's only fair that everyone understands what that actually means. Mark's smile vanished. What are you doing? He asked quietly. I ignored him. Mark, I said, turning to face him fully. How long have you been sleeping with her? The word landed hard.
Sleeping. With.
Her. The room froze. Someone gasped. Jenna's hand flew to her mouth. Mark stared at me like I'd slapped him. What the hell is wrong with you? He snapped. Are you out of your mind? I didn't raise my voice. No, I said. But I was for a while. Tonight fixed that. Lily stepped back slightly. Wow, she said nervously. This is really inappropriate. I laughed.
Once. Short.
Sharp. What's inappropriate, I said, is bringing your mistress into your wife's home and pretending she's invisible. Silence. Heavy. Deafening. My mother stood up. Mark, she said slowly. What is she talking about? Mark ran a hand through his hair. She's upset, he said quickly. She's twisting things. For almost a year. I cut in. His head snapped toward me. For almost a year, I repeated. That's how long it's been, right? Lily's face drained of color. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Mark looked around, realizing too late that he'd lost control of the room. This is not the time, he said through clenched teeth. You're embarrassing yourself. That was the moment something in me went completely still. No, I said. You already did that. I turned to the guests. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I said honestly. I didn't plan this. I didn't even want to know the truth tonight. But I heard it anyway. I looked back at Lily. In the kitchen, I added. Her eyes widened. Mark froze. You told her you'd talk to me after my birthday? I continued. You told her you were tired of hiding. You told her this marriage was complicated. Mark opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The room wasn't on his side anymore. People were watching him now, really watching. Jenna stepped closer to me. So this is real? She asked him. Mark swallowed. I made a mistake, he said. It didn't mean. Lily laughed bitterly. A mistake, she said. You told me you loved me. The sound that came from the room wasn't laughter. It was shock. Mark turned on her. Not now. She stared at him, stunned. That was when I understood something else. She thought she was winning. But she was just as disposable as I'd been. I think, I said quietly, this party is over. No one argued. People began setting down drinks, grabbing coats, avoiding eye contact. My father walked over and put a hand on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, he said softly. Mark looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Can we talk? He asked. Not tonight, I replied. Lily stood near the door, her confidence gone. As she passed me, she whispered, I didn't think you'd do this. I met her eyes. I didn't think either, I said. That's the problem. The door closed behind her, and for the first time all night, I could breathe. The house emptied slowly. Not all at once, but in waves. People hugged me quietly. Some apologized for things they didn't understand yet. Others said nothing at all, their faces heavy with discomfort. The music was turned off. Half-full glasses sat abandoned on tables. The cake, untouched, leaned slightly to one side like it had given up. This was supposed to be a celebration. Now it looked like the aftermath of a storm. Mark stood near the doorway, watching everyone leave. His shoulders were tense, his jaw clenched. For the first time all night, he looked small. When the door finally closed behind the last guest, the house fell into an unnatural quiet. I exhaled. Mark turned to me. You didn't have to do that, he said. There was no anger in his voice now. Just accusation, the kind that tries to turn consequences into cruelty. I looked at him. I didn't have to lie for you either, I replied. He rubbed his temples. You blindsided me, he said. In front of everyone. I nodded slowly. That's exactly how it felt, I said, standing here while you introduced your mistress like she was nothing. He flinched. Don't call her that. I stared at him. What would you prefer? I asked. Coworker. Silence. He sat down heavily on the couch. I was going to tell you, he said. I almost laughed. When? I asked. After tonight? After another year? After she stopped being convenient. He didn't answer. I walked into the kitchen and began gathering plates, more for something to do than because they needed cleaning. My hands felt steady now. Too steady. Mark followed me. I messed up, he said quietly. But we can fix this. I turned to face him. No, I said. You can fix yourself. This is broken beyond repair. His eyes searched my face. You're really going to throw everything away? He asked. That question hurt more than anything else he'd said. You already did, I replied. I grabbed my keys from the counter. Where are you going? He asked, panic creeping into his voice. Somewhere I'm not lied to, I said. He stood up. Don't do this. Not tonight. Tonight, I said, is the only reason I can. I walked to the door. Behind me, he said my name. I paused, not because I was unsure, but because I wanted him to hear this. You didn't just cheat, I said calmly. You humiliated me. You made me doubt my reality. And you did it in front of people who loved me. I turned back. That's not something I come back from. I opened the door. The night air was cool against my skin. As I stepped outside, I realized something unexpected. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't crying. I felt light. Like I'd finally set something heavy down. I didn't look back. I didn't go home that night. I drove. No destination at first, just movement. The streetlights blurred past my windshield, as if the world was finally letting me move forward instead of holding me in place. I ended up at Jenna's house. She didn't ask questions. She wrapped me in a blanket, poured me a glass of wine, and let me sit in silence until my breathing slowed. That was the first night I slept without anxiety in months. The weeks that followed weren't easy, but they were honest. Mark tried to call, then text, then apologize. His messages followed a pattern. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt you. It just happened. But here's the truth no one likes to hear. Affairs don't just happen. They are built, choice by choice, while someone else is slowly erased. I asked for a divorce 3 weeks later.
He was shocked.
Not because he loved me too much to lose me, but because he never thought I'd leave. Lily didn't last. She never does in stories like this. Once there was no wife to betray, no secrecy to romanticize, no thrill of hiding, she became just another reminder of what he'd ruined. I heard she transferred apartments, then companies, then disappeared from his life altogether. Funny how just a coworker couldn't survive the truth. As for me, I found myself again in small, unexpected ways. Buying groceries without checking my phone. Laughing without that tight feeling in my chest. Sleeping peacefully. On my next birthday, there was no party. Just dinner. A few people who truly knew me. Candles I blew out without making a wish, because I didn't need one anymore. That night taught me something I'll carry forever. Humiliation only works if you stay silent. Gaslighting only works if you doubt yourself. And love that requires you to shrink isn't love at all. My husband tried to embarrass me in front of everyone. Instead, he gave me the greatest gift of my life. Freedom.